Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the SG Wrestling Show. You can find us on YouTube at SG Wrestling Show channel. Basically, what this is a podcast created by three friends who share a common love for wrestling, and we want to talk about wrestling and share whatever we love about wrestling with fans not only in Singapore but also all around the world who are going to watch us on this channel. Basically how this will go is we will talk about WWE in general at first, and maybe moving on to NXT and TNA and other wrestling promotions. I'm here today with two of my friends who will introduce themselves soon. But firstly, my name is Kartigesh. You can call me the Special K. I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid, and I've been a big fan watching people like Big John Studd, Hulk Hogan, etc. etc. So I'll hand it over to two of my friends here to do their introductions. So you guys carry on.
Hi guys, my name is Eugene, known as Eugene the Juan or Eugene Juan, whichever you can call me.
Mexican.
Yeah.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah, I love wrestling just like my two friends here, and my favorite wrestlers are basically Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and many other wrestlers out there.
What about Cena?
Say Cena.
Okay, Cena, John Cena.
Oh.
Okay, and yes, I'll be looking forward to talking more in this podcast about wrestling. Now on to my friend Zaki.
Right. I'm here, Zach, also known as Akis. Very pleased to join the team. And yes, I used to watch wrestling, watching people like Austin, Shawn Michaels, HBK, and yeah.
Isn't
all
that the
these
same
people.
person? HBK and Shawn
Yeah,
Michaels.
sorry. Yeah, right. I mean Bret Hart, right. And so, yes, Gesh, take
Thinking
it.
about the Montreal school
Right.
job.
Yeah.
Okay, so how this
Get
podcast
lost, man.
will go is basically we will talk about just how wrestling goes on during the week. So firstly, we want to talk about like Raw and SmackDown this week in WWE. So anyone, their views about Raw this week, anything that strikes them as something interesting, like a build up to a feud or anything like that. From what I've seen, the Wyatt and Shield match was extremely good. Even though they repeated it for a second time.
Repeat.
But sometimes repeats are indeed can be better than the original, and this definitely was that sort of match. Even though the ending was a bit abrupt, I suspected Dean Ambrose to walk out, but instead it was Seth Rollins walking out. So will the solidarity of the Shield be tested, or will they still stay united? But I'm still foreseeing a triple threat match at WrestleMania between the three of them, and I think many wrestling fans will want to see it.
Speaking of Rollins stole the limelight, man. He literally flew, and he stole the show. And like you said, yeah, it's surprising to see that he intends to walk out instead of Ambrose, because there have been the cracks that you have seen in the tag team itself.
Actually, I think that Rollins was a bit hesitant on remaining as part of the Shield, and I mean he has this look on his face when he was leaving. He was like in deep thought. He
this
was
coming
thinking
from a
about
Shield fanboy.
yeah, and I just think that this is that he still, even though at the end of the day, at the end of the match, he kissed and made up with
Ooh, makeup.
Is that what you think of when you think of the Shield?
What?
no, I mean,
Really?
they decided to resolve their differences. They decided to resolve their differences and
By making up.
Yeah, making up.
making up kiss and make up, right?
Nice.
Yeah. They but I still think that there could be a second wave coming between the friction regarding the friction between Rollins and Ambrose.
Okay, for anyone watching, the other two of us here, we don't condone the views of making out in terms
Yes.
of a wrestling situation.
Yes.
Unless
Especially
it
not
involves,
guys, yeah.
Unless it involves Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson. So for those who remember what I'm talking
Ooh,
about,
throwback,
good for
man,
y'all. Okay,
throwback.
good for y'all. Shout out to Vince Russo for the Hall of Fame.
I just thought that Rollins is he's feeling constantly pressured to settle to keep Ambrose cool and calm, because most of the time if you notice the matches between the Shield and the Wyatts, Ambrose, he looks pretty hyped up and always wanting to
He's hyped up because he's a crazy asshole.
yeah. He always want to he's always picking a fight with the other members of the Wyatt family. So
Right. Enough of the Shield and shit and everything else.
Okay, before we move on, I just want to say one thing. Was it ever on your minds when you were thinking of the Shield from the beginning that Roman Reigns would be the one taking the lead instead of Dean Ambrose? Because when I first saw the Shield, it was always Dean Ambrose. It was always Dean Ambrose who would be the person taking the lead of this faction, and people will watch it because of him. Reigns, on the other hand, he's just a sudden
He's just
change.
a cog in the machine.
Yeah, it's just a sudden change, a sudden
He will rise
interest
up.
in him.
Suddenly he will just rise to the occasion.
Well, how about in terms of mic skills?
Okay, my skill, he sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, plain and simple, my skill sucks.
Who Roman Reigns or?
You don't need to go into
Yeah,
the
you
war
don't
and
need to
everything.
go into
Yeah.
the-
You don't need to go into all the songs.
I personally feel he's not that excellent on the mic. His gimmick as somebody who is the powerhouse, usually they tend not to be very good on the mic. Case in point, you look at people like Brock Lesnar, Goldberg,
Mm-hmm.
Rhino. I don't know. I mean, usually they
Ryback,
don't.
people like that,
They don't
yeah.
talk well on the mic.
Mm-hmm. So it's
think
based on
it's true.
sheer strength, brutality. Yeah.
Although I have to say that Roman Reigns has the face of a leader, as
You're picturing making
Stop
out
the
that
shoe.
face, right?
Yeah.
You're making out with that face, right?
Maybe
Okay,
as some
yeah,
poster
yeah.
boys, I don't know. But
Okay.
okay, what do you guys think of the Usos being the new champ? Finally, being the new tag team champions.
Okay, I want to talk about this. Okay, this is something that WWE has made a mistake on. Not the fact that Usos are the tag champions, but
Mm-hmm.
they are trying to break up the other tags that could possibly become contenders for the tag titles. Okay, case in point, the Shield already has tension like what we were talking about previously.
Mm-hmm.
And since Cody Rhodes and Goldust lost the title, I'm not very sure whether they will be staying together for a long time. The New Age Outlaws, similar concept. They might only be here for a little bit. Might not stay on for a long time.
old folks home.
Yeah,
the old
retirement
folks
home,
home.
man.
Okay, so don't be so bad. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, you didn't know. Okay, so other than that, when you look at the tag team division in the WWE, I think there is much to be desired. Because right now, at this moment, we are looking at people like Los Matadores, gimmicky tag team, but people like them. They are nice to watch.
The bull.
Nice. Yeah, the Bull, which I suspect is Hornswoggle in the suit.
Probably.
And maybe the Real Americans, if they stay together, they definitely should become tag team champions, because there hasn't been a tag team for a very long time whereby both of the wrestlers are very strong technical wrestlers. I think if I were to look back, I would think about Team Angle with Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. So right now, if their storyline is going to become something of a breakup storyline between Cesaro and Swagger, I'm not sure who else would be able to compete for the tag team titles. But that being said, congrats to the Usos. They deserve it. Crowd loves them. Wrestling fans like me love them. And I think they should hold on for a long time. But I suspect about the number of challenges they will get.
Anyways, the tag team
Terms of
division
defense.
has been declining.
Yeah,
Let down
exactly.
in the recent years. Yes. So I wouldn't say like there's a legitimate, or I would say a pure tag team for that matter itself. Yeah.
And also, out with the old, in with the new. I mean, the New Age Outlaws, as Skygate said earlier, they are getting older and older by the
They
day.
are the
So,
old age outlaws.
Yeah, the
Old
old
age,
age outlaws. Yes, precisely right.
whereas the Usos, they have a lot of potential as they're young, and their father, as you know, is Rikishi, and he.
Well, nepotism
Yeah.
plays a part, man.
That's right.
Anyways,
Okay,
you
the
can
nepotism
recall.
thing is a controversial view. We might talk about it on another podcast, because we
Right.
can go on for a very long time
Yeah,
about
man.
it.
Yes.
Okay, but right now, the
Remember, Raw. Where was it? It was in Chicago, but where was the hometown hero? Where was the
yes, exactly.
local boy?
So now we come on to what basically is going to be the bulk of this week's podcast. Where in the world is CM Punk? Okay,
cult of personality?
he, in essence, took the ball and left the company after telling Vince McMahon he won't appear on Raw. The reasons behind it are multiple, and we are not very sure who to believe. Some people say that he was upset at the fact that Batista took away someone's rightful WrestleMania shot by coming back into the WWE, and he felt that part-time wrestlers were taking the limelight away from guys who are putting in the hard work constantly to get the push that they want to earn a title shot.
That's true.
Now, there are also people who say that perhaps he was just burnt out and sick of wrestling in general, and he just wanted a break.
Really?
Okay, really or not, I'm not very sure, but one thing I would like to say, I'm extremely frustrated at the fact, watching Raw this Monday, that everybody had this thing on their mind that they wanted to hijack the show because CM Punk was not present in Chicago, in his hometown, to appear on Raw. But I think it is extremely brilliant on the part of WWE to troll the hell out of these assholes who came demanding CM Punk by, at the very beginning of the show, playing CM Punk's music to the biggest pop I've ever heard for a very long time, and Paul Heyman coming in and sitting in the center of the ring. That was an excellent maneuver by WWE to just give a big fuck you to all the fans who came over there, and to just exert the authority and say that, okay, this is our show, you are not going to do anything to disrupt our show. This is not the Attitude Era, this is the new PG era, and we are not going to let you guys disrupt our show. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
And to those people, I think both of y'all can agree with me, to those people who keep going onto the internet and demanding that CM Punk return and asking where is he and when is he coming back, please STFU and get a job, because I think he is not coming back.
Okay, but if he
Deep
were
inside,
to,
I want him to come back, but I wouldn't say he's a. I don't know what's the chances of him coming back.
And being a CM Punk fan here, if the question is posed, when will he ever return, and if he were to return, when will he return?
Keep in mind, Austin left and he came back. So will
Yup.
CM Punk do the same thing? Keep in mind, they also left because of slightly different circumstances. Not
Will he still
necessarily
repeat itself? That remains to be seen.
But I think if Punk were to return, he would definitely return at the most major, a very major event.
So you suspect
at
WrestleMania? I'm
Definitely
guessing you're talking about WrestleMania.
pivotal-
It could be Royal Rumble
pivotal moment.
2015.
You expect wrestling fans to wait till Royal
Yeah.
Rumble 2015?
They go
to
riot,
see
man.
CM
They
Punk
go
come
riot,
back.
man. Seriously.
Everybody suspects he will come back at WrestleMania. To tell you the honest truth, when he first left, I also thought he would come back at WrestleMania to challenge The Undertaker for the streak. But that's not happening because Brock Lesnar is the one facing The Undertaker for the streak.
You don't want to see another Triple H Undertaker again, repeat again, John Cena.
But keep in mind the
Rock
Triple H
again,
Undertaker,
over and over
the Triple H
again,
Undertaker
over and
match
over again.
from WrestleMania 28, the one in 2012, was extremely good. It was one of the better matches that I've ever seen when the Undertaker was putting his streak on the line. So this year's WrestleMania might be good, might not be good, but who's to say what's going on? Okay, there might be a rumor even that WrestleMania might include a third person for the main event, judging by how SmackDown is going right now, whereby Daniel Bryan is feuding with Batista and the Authority.
Yes.
And I find it extremely funny that they made Batista have a heel turn, but it was the most unimpressive heel turn that I've ever seen, because the crowd was already booing him even before
Looks
the
like
heel
a
turn
last minute
happened.
decision, right?
Right.
To make him a heel from face.
So
because
much
he's
for the
supposed to-
animal, So
Yeah.
much for the animal. So
Okay, I
supposed to
agree
turn
on the
his
last
face.
minute decision to make him a heel
Yeah.
because okay, to you guys who are watching the show right now, I think you would agree with me that the moment where wrestling fans this year knew that it was all gonna go to shit was the moment that the timer in the Royal Rumble dropped from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0 to the number 30th entrant, and everyone in the arena was cheering for Daniel Bryan, going yes, yes, yes. And Rey Mysterio came out and instantly
Ooh.
did something that I haven't seen for a very long time, and I think most people haven't seen for a very long time, which was he made everybody silent, which is very rare in WWE these days because the fans are extremely vocal. And I think it was from that point on that everything started to go downhill. And this heel turn is just a way to accommodate him into a
Peace.
storyline that, I think,
He's just a wash-up wrestler, man.
Okay.
I'm not convinced by that.
case in point, when he came back and he started running to the ring, his pecs were shaking like TDs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure that he was in proper fighting shape when he came back, and I think it's not right for someone to come back and immediately win a Royal Rumble and escalate to the main event of WrestleMania when that particular match, that main event match in WrestleMania is something that is remembered in history for a very long time. And maybe most of y'all would agree, matches like Rock and Austin in WrestleMania 17 and matches where HBK was in during his time when he was known as Mr. WrestleMania, those matches are always remembered.
Speaking of which, The Rock, he came back, but I feel it was just a stopgap. It was just a temporary time for to be the champion for a while. And look where he's in now. He's back in Hollywood.
He's back in Hollywood because I think that he would not have survived long in the WWE right now, because
Probably.
the fact that he came back was because I'm not really sure at this point why did he even come back, because it's slightly similar in the sense that he came back and he won the title and then lost it soon after that. So I don't understand what's the point in coming back, giving him a championship run and then taking it away and giving
Hence,
it to
I say the
somebody else.
stopgap is just for temporary measure.
It's probably a filler to the story.
Yeah, probably.
Hashtag push Ziggler for SummerSlam.
Yeah. Show it to the world, man.
And before we carry on to the next topic, I just want to ask you guys, maybe on a perspective, since we are talking about WrestleMania, what do you think could happen in terms of more matches for WrestleMania? Like, since we saw that there might be adding a third person because of the Daniel Bryan feud with Batista, that he might feature in the main event with Randy Orton for the WWE title. So what about the other matches? Maybe could we see a triple threat match between the Shield? Would that be something that...
That would be interesting.
Yeah, since there was already friction within the
There's
Shield.
already cracks, yeah.
There could be a second wave of friction coming, and then
Okay, so what do you think
Shield
is the
breaking
second wave of friction? Since you're talking about the
wave.
second wave of friction. Because you already saw Dean Ambrose acting out. We already saw Seth Rollins acting out. So who else is left? How do you expect Roman Reigns to act out?
What do you think?
I guess there could be another blunder during the match between, say, the Shields and the
I don't
Wyatts.
recall that Monday match was a blunder, right?
No.
I don't think it was a blunder. The one at Elimination Chamber was somewhat of a blunder because Dean Ambrose disappeared and it was a 2-on-3 and that's why they lost. But the one on Monday, it wasn't really a blunder. It was just contemplation of walking out and things like that.
But as you can see,
fanboy.
but you can see the teamwork within the Shield is
so much for the
slowly
teamwork, man.
degrading.
Yeah.
It's slowly degrading. So I guess there could be a mistake being made during the match between the Shield and the Wyatts, and this could cause them another argument.
Yeah, it'd be interesting
further
build up
degrade,
to WrestleMania.
Keep in mind that WrestleMania is very, very soon, and if they want to add matches, they have to add matches.
And of course, before WrestleMania itself, what do we have?
We
Or the
have the Hall of Fame. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Hall of Fame inductees for this year. So far, 4 names have been announced.
4. There are rumors of another one.
There might be rumors of another one, which we will talk about later, because I have issues about this. The rumored 5th inductee. I also have issues with one of the inductees currently going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Exciting.
So, those of you who have been following wrestling or who haven't, let me update you on the 4 people who are going in right now. Jake the Snake Roberts, kind of on the fence with this one. Paul Bearer, legendary manager of both Kane and The Undertaker. Definitely, he had to go in last year, but somehow he's going in this year, which I think is the right thing to do. And next is someone who everybody were thinking of putting into the Hall of Fame, but somehow because of some extenuating circumstances, he wasn't inducted into the Hall of Fame. But we have the Ultimate Warrior finally into the Hall of Fame.
Issues, I think.
Okay. Sometimes I think back as to whether if Ultimate Warrior and Sting were together as a tag team, and maybe how would that have become, but history is as such that Sting went one way, Ultimate
the
Warrior
crowd will be
stayed in the
electrified, would
WWE.
say. Electrified.
So the Ultimate Warrior will be in the Hall of Fame, and the next person is somebody that I wanted in the Hall of Fame for a very long time, even before Trish, is the one and only high-flying diva herself, leader, who honestly has one of the best theme songs in the WWE, because once you hear the guitars, you definitely know it's her.
And she brings that kind of energy, that kind of enthusiasm to the ring.
And because we've seen before, like she could just come in during Hardy Boys matches and just Hurricane Rana whoever they are facing, and then giving them the advantage.
Moonsaults and all that.
She's by far one of the best divas WWE has ever had in terms of revolutionizing what it meant to be a diva. Like not only being beautiful, but at the same time being able to wrestle and steal the show by doing all the high flying stuff that
which nowadays sadly the divas are also in the decline, the downhill.
We will be talking about that later in the show, but right now we'll be focusing on the Hall of Fame. So you guys, what do you think about the 4 inductees right now? Because once you all discuss about this, I have something to say about Jake the Snake Roberts, which many people might not agree with me and might possibly give me hate for it, but I don't care.
Right, starting with Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer, definite
yes,
worthy Hall of Famer. He has managed the kinds of Mankind, Kane, Undertaker, just to name a few. And and of course, our sympathies goes to him and his family. And what do you think about Ultimate Warrior? Does he deserve to go into the HOF?
Ultimate Warrior definitely another guy who definitely, because watching him against Hogan, that was one of the best matches I could ever remember since I was a little kid. I think not many people can disagree with me on that. The fact, his entrance, his gimmick, the way he spoke,
his face paint, especially.
The face paint, I don't know about the face paint, because there are a lot of people who have face paint, like Jeff Hardy, and he's a stoner, so I don't know about
Sting also.
Sting
had only one face paint. 1 or 2.
Goldust.
Basically 1 or 2. Keep in mind, Goldust was Black Rain and Black Rain in TNA, and that version of Goldust was weird. Okay, so back to the topic of Ultimate Warrior. I think many of us remember the minute his entrance music hit, and whenever there was a long walkway from the back of the arena to the ring itself, and he would just sprint out, run into the ring, grab onto the ropes and just shake it like how Batista does it in a half-hearted, half-ass way now. And he would just get everybody on his side.
Rip off.
And whenever he speaks during a interview session at backstage, he was always insane, to say the least, but he was very passionate. We could always tell that no matter what he said, no matter how crazy he sounded about the light of the blood red moon and loading the spaceship with rocket fuel, he was always passionate about what he did. And I think it's about time that he and Vince sorted out their differences, and he's taking his rightful place into the Hall of Fame.
He kiss and make up like somebody says just now.
Yeah, like kiss and
nobody talks about making out with the Shield here, or whatever you decide to do in your own free time is your own business. Okay. So
Lita's goes in, Trish Stays goes in.
Okay.
Right.
Then Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake.
So what about Jake the Snake?
This I'll let you guys talk about it first, because I would like to say something about Jake the Snake.
Actually, I don't really know much about Jake the Snake except for his.
You sort of enjoyed the fact that he put the snake on Dean Ambrose.
That's very.
And Ambrose was giving the very high face.
Yeah,
he was enjoying it way too much.
Yes, and he was one of the Royal Rumble entrances.
Not surprising, because he has some cameo appearance, and I can only recall he bringing the snake. I don't know what's the name, Damien or whatever. Jake, that doesn't matter, but
Jake, it's PG. Jake, it's PG.
Yeah. so he just struts his way to the ring. He brings out the snake, scare people out, and that's it. There's no accolades. There's no accomplishment. What else?
What about Jake the Snake that you are having an issue with, Kaigesh?
Okay, I have one very simple issue with Jake. The Hall of Fame induction is something that a lot of people debate upon, because some people believe that it has to be somehow related to accolades in terms of what titles he won, how many reigns he had, and things like that. But I also believe that it does not always mean that you have to be a champion in order to make an impact in wrestling. I feel that Jake the Snake personally has only made me remember one thing about him. It was the fact that he somehow made Austin develop the Austin 316 gimmick inadvertently, because of the whole King of the Ring speech,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you guys will remember when Austin won the King of the Ring and he gave the speech about Jake the Snake being biblical and talking about John 3:16 and then Austin saying his famous line, Austin 3:16, it's going to whoop your ass. So I feel that he was a warrior in any sense of the word. He was a warrior. He fought through a lot of adversity and perhaps he should be rewarded based on that merit alone for him to go into the Hall of Fame. But I'm kind of on the fence about his induction in the sense that I feel that there might have been better candidates who could go in this year. People like Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah.
People like Ravishing Rick Rude, who is one of my favorite wrestlers, and many people tend to forget the fact that he was one of the original members of DX.
Underrated, man. Underrated.
Yeah, he's an underrated wrestler. And there are a lot more people like that. I'm still waiting for Paul Heyman to go into the Hall of Fame, but he's still considered an active person, so it will be about time sooner or later for him to go in. But Jake the Snake, I'm on the fence about it. But I honestly cannot wait to hear his speech because I got a feeling it will be a very emotional night for not only Jake but for wrestling fans who grew up watching wrestling in the 80s where Jake was a prominent part of it. I'm on the fence, but I will definitely tune in to watch the Hall of Fame ceremony because I think it will be a sort of redemption moment for him to talk about his struggles and his addictions and his demons. Now, speaking of demons, recently there's been a rumor coming up that I saw online which said that Scott Hall might be a possible inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Ramon.
And again, not many people would give Scott the credit that he actually deserved because everybody knows him for one legendary match, which was the one where he beat Shawn Michaels to win the Intercontinental title at the very first ladder match that WWE ever had. But going on from that moment, he was a key part in NWO, so everybody knows about NWO. And I feel that he should go into the Hall of Fame because of the fact that he developed this character that many people felt was not only appropriate for him. I'm talking about Razor Ramon here, not exactly Scott Hall in NWO Scott Hall. But Razor Ramon was one of the coolest gimmicks that I've ever seen. Coming out with the toothpick and going, hey yo, and things like that.
Yeah.
Even though it was sort of a blatant rip-off of Scarface, but at the same time he made it look so cool that we all genuinely took to him, even though he labelled himself as the bad guy. And he has one of the nicer finishes that I've seen in quite a while, the Razor's Edge, which Sheamus does it now, but a bit half-heartedly also.
What does it call it? I don't know.
Sheamus has some variation of it.
What? Cross
Celtic,
or something? Or I don't know.
It's sort of like the...
Celtic Cross or something?
No, it's not the Celtic Cross. I think he does a variation with it, but I'm not sure what the name is exactly. I know he has the Irish Curse Backbreaker and maybe it's the Celtic Cross, but the Celtic Cross is somewhat like inverted of it. But there have been many variations of his Razor's Edge, but I think no one does that powerbomb move better than Razor Ramon. And I'm happy if he goes into the Hall of Fame because he deserves to be there. And just like Jake, he overcome a lot of difficulties in his life, and perhaps he has to take his reward that he makes it to the Hall of Fame as a vindication of all his demons and getting.
Which brings us to the next point.
Yeah.
DDP, the man who rejuvenated the careers of such wrestlers like the aforementioned Jake the Snake and even Scott Hall. He has this DDP yoga. So what do you think of it, guys? Should he be in HOF? Maybe not now, but in the future.
A question about the yoga. I prefer Trish Stratus's yoga to DDP yoga. Okay, and going back to the Hall of Fame, DDP, yeah, I see no reason why he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he was a multiple-time champion in WCW.
Back in WCW, remember?
Back in WCW, but when he came to WWE, he had one of the more creepier storylines involving him, The Undertaker, and his wife Sarah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm sure that some people might remember the fact that there was one occasion where he sort of pulled out her hair and smelled it and walked away, which was a creepy thing, but it made it so engaging to watch because people believed that he could be this demented psycho who would stalk someone's wife and go beyond the line and do whatever he took to get his word across. And the fact that he came into the WWE and went after the biggest dog in the yard, The Undertaker, it says a lot.
I used to watch him back in WCW.
Yeah,
exactly. The Diamond Cutter.
Same. I'm the same here. That I used to like him in WCW because the Diamond Cutter, for one thing, as a finishing move, is much nicer than the RKO. Even though the RKO is similar and the RKO can be can be executed at any time during a match. The DDP Diamond Cutter was different because he just pulled the guy down onto the mat, which Randy Orton doesn't exactly do. He just leaps off and pulls the guy. But DDP, since because he's so tall, he doesn't really jump up. He just pulls the guy down straight onto the mat, and it's very nice to watch. Okay, and anything else you guys want to add on about the Hall of Fame?
How about the Divas that you were talking about earlier?
You mean Divas going into the Hall of Fame?
No,
or
no.
just Divas?
Just the
division?
Divas in general. The Divas in WWE.
Okay.
Right, the decline, yeah.
The decline.
Very
Okay, Zaki,
nice.
do you want to start about the Divas? I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of things to say about the Divas.
Well, to be honest, there isn't a legitimate contender for the Divas title. Now you are seeing AJ Lee.
Yes, true. I'm
AJ
seconding
Lee is
this.
a front runner.
I'm seconding.
Who else? Who else can challenge?
AJ is not only the front runner, she is the front.
Yeah,
there are no
precisely.
runners chasing after her.
Then who else is going for
Okay.
after her? Precisely, there's
Because
no one.
right now,
Basically, there's no one.
When you look, yeah, exactly. When you look at the Divas division now, it's full of pretty faces,
Wannabes.
not being able to wrestle as well and put on exciting matches. Like, as wrestling fans, can you all remember how it was like when we saw Trish
Yeah.
and Lita fighting for the women's title? People like Victoria and Ivory, who are not necessarily beautiful wrestlers, but
Jacqueline.
they were, even
They can
Jacqueline,
wrestle.
Jacqueline, yeah.
they could wrestle
They
and
could
they
wrestle.
could put on a show whereby fans could tune in and just watch. And I think the reason why it has become like that, it has all been down to one thing. If you guys remember back in the day, during the 90s, most of the women who were in the WWE did not always compete as wrestlers. They were mainly used as managers or valets. Case in point, Mark Mero and Sable, Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man. So they were mainly like accessories to the man that they were accompanying. They were extensions of the man. So in some ways, people might see it as being feminist and being sexist, sorry, not feminist, that they were just seen as objects to be paraded out with a wrestler. And it started to change whereby women started to compete more and more in the WWE, and that gave rise to divas like Trish, Ivory, Lita, and things like that. And it started to get more exciting because we realized that these women were not only beautiful, they could actually fight. And not just in gimmicky bra and panties matches and mud wrestling matches.
I miss
They could
those, man.
actually fight. I think everybody wants puppies, but
Definitely.
sometimes we have to watch a match with so much passion that they put together that it's really hard to deny that they are actually very talented people, and they are not just people that they are accompanying and just arm candy. And I think this trend has branched out drastically even again, like from the valet, they were pretty faces, to the women wrestlers like Trish and Lita who put on and made the women's division what it is today. And the divas now, they are going back to what it was before. Like, they are just pretty faces, possibly arm candy, who can't really wrestle as well as their predecessors would have. Like right now, nobody else but AJ Lee is a strong contender and the rightful person to have the Divas Championship. But there's somebody in NXT who will definitely give her a run for money. Actually, there are a few people in NXT that can give her a run for money. First and foremost, definitely Paige, who I feel is definitely, as her gimmick says, the diva of tomorrow, because she's someone who's not only young, beautiful, but she can fight. And it's maybe because of it's in her blood. Like, her family wrestles, her family owns a wrestling school, she's trained by her dad and her mom, so it's something that some divas have that others might not. They might be suited for wrestling or they might be suited to be managers or valets, but it's hard nowadays to find a mix between the two. Do you guys know of anybody else who you think can fit inside this? Because I only can think of Paige. Maybe Emma, even though she feels a bit...
Emma is
Do
stupid.
you see here, dance move is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
After watching so much, it's like lame.
Okay, her dance move at first it was cute, but now I'm not very sure.
It's fizzled off.
Okay, but I feel that she has a likability that people obviously enjoy when they see her.
Right, baby face.
Yeah, a babyface personality, and I think even Ric Flair's daughter Charlotte in NXT, she can also give AJ a run for her money, because the dirtiest player in the game would definitely raise a daughter who would be as willing to take chances as him when it comes to winning championships.
Definitely runs in the blood.
It definitely runs in the blood. So anything else you guys want to talk about before we conclude? I think we ran a bit long. It's more than half an hour already. So
Yeah.
anything else do you guys want to talk about
Nope.
before we end this podcast?
Nope.
We shall look
No.
for the build up
No.
to
No.
WrestleMania.
Yes, the build up to WrestleMania, which will take place very soon. We will actually be back next week again to talk about Raw and SmackDown and things like that and various other topics. And if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask us, any comments, please leave it below. And
Please rate, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
I'm asking you. I mean, I'm not begging people to subscribe. I mean, if you want to, you can go ahead. But give us your comments. I mean, we love to hear from you guys in the community, both here and Singapore and overseas, all around the world. Share with us your thoughts, your ideas. Maybe we can talk about more things in the future in upcoming episodes. I hope you enjoyed the show. And signing off, it's Special K.
Eugene Juan.
And Akis.
P.S. The Shield sucks.
Right.
No, just kidding. Shield sucks. Shield sucks.
Looking forward to the next podcast. Ciao.
Ciao.